Hi everybody, my name is Benny Dodja for those who don't know me, and today we're here starting a video series called Anthem, a funeral home's perspective. This is going to be a video series, audio series that we share on our social media platforms, but basically to talk about community topics, issues, initiatives that we see from the funeral home perspective. And what that means is we see like the final stages of things, and that could be problems, that could be good things, but we just want to shed light on some of those things. And I know Jatinder has a quick message on that.
Prior to getting into anything, we just want to preface by saying that this is a kind of a disclaimer. We're taking things from the funeral home's perspective and showcasing, again, different things that are happening. We want to start by saying that as a part of our trade and our business and our operation, confidentiality is a huge thing to us. When we're sharing our experiences, we're not speaking to any individual family, but these are things that we see on a regular basis, and we want to kind of pull the curtain back on some things that are very taboo and things that aren't always comfortable to talk about, but someone needs to shed light on them.
Yeah, and give a perspective that's a little bit lighter, like I said before too, because as serious as we were in this first minute of this video, we don't want to be that serious. We want you guys to know that, hey, we're humans too. A lot of people ask me that always, hey, how do you do that job, right? But obviously for our well-being and our mental health, we need to be regular people and we need to joke about it, we need to laugh about it, and you'll see that in these podcasts. Yes, we will talk about very serious issues and hopefully, fix some of these issues. And fix is a wrong word, because just more enlighten people, give more knowledge. But let's keep it light. Let's laugh about it. And I think what Jatinder is saying is like we don't mean to offend anybody. We don't mean to share anyone's privacy. These are just conversations we're having, and we felt there was a need for this, right, Jatinder?
Yeah, and especially maybe around our age group. It's not something that's easy to talk about. And some of these subjects are easy to talk about. You'll see that a little bit later. But even as a culture, things that we're not ready to talk about, we want to be the people that introduce these conversations into your household, into your friend circle.
Yeah, for sure. And many of you know Jatinder's dad, Inderjit, and he's our ambassador. He's the face of this funeral home, and he does a great job at providing information to the community, right? He's always on TV programs. He's always on talk shows. And he gives that information obviously in Punjabi and a bit of English, but there's no one like from our age doing it. And obviously that's our responsibility, right? Like being the people who are taking over this business, we need to also educate our generation, provide that information in English for our age group.
Not just our age group, but I think as the funeral industry in general, a lot of it seems like hush hush. You don't get a full perspective of what we go through on a daily basis. Now, obviously, we don't bring it up often because the families that we serve are going through so much, but we want to kind of bring to your attention the things that we've noticed on a regular basis, and maybe we can help somebody deal with some of their issues that they may be dealing with.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what we want to accomplish with this. In saying that, I kind of want to go over the funeral home, like our Brampton location. Now we have two funeral homes, one here in Brampton and one in Ajax, but kind of like the history of the funeral home, right? And why we opened these, when we opened them, and what the need was, right? So in 2010, your dad tells me this story all the time, and he goes, in 2010, we bought land in Brampton, but it goes way further back than that. Like, it goes way further back. It was actually like, I think Scott's funeral home, and that time the family used to own that funeral home. It was on Main Street,
in
Williams
Brampton,
Parkway.
Downtown Brampton.
Yeah, downtown Brampton. And I have these like memories from when I was younger. I'm not sure if you can remember, but I remember attending a couple services, probably been left in the car, to be honest. I don't think I've ever went inside, but the funeral home used to be packed. Like there used to be lineups to get inside it, and this was back then, like maybe 20 years ago. So the community was smaller, way smaller then compared to what it is now. And I think your dad always mentions that, like, the reason why we open this business is, yes, it is a business. No one can deny that. But there was a need on a community standpoint for a facility like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So basically, our parents were approached about this project, like Puneet said, many, many years ago. And at that time, it wasn't the right time for our families to get into it. But as the need grew, the community grew, we outgrew these facilities that were maybe meant for smaller communities or more tight-knit families, whereas a lot of, I think South Asian people can attest to this, is that our weddings are big, our funerals are big, our birthdays are big, but there was facilities to accommodate big weddings. There were facilities to accommodate big birthday parties, but there was never a place where we could grieve together. And that experience was not being fulfilled properly by the existing establishments
and
that were
I
out
think
there.
when you say fulfilled, it's like every funeral home does a good job at servicing the family and the deceased, but you got to think back to 2010. I said we bought the land in 2012. December, I think we started operations. You were here from day one. I joined January something, right? So 2013, month later. But those funeral homes, they were servicing our community, but there was language barriers, there was cultural barriers, there was just not understanding some of the rituals. And we're going to get into this a lot later, but like, for example, like we do dressings, ritual dressings. Like we help dress our loved one at the end. And when I say we, like the family does, right? And now more and more, families trust us because they know we do it to a level of care that they would, right? So some of these things either weren't offered at funeral homes, other funeral homes didn't know about it. And again, we can't blame those funeral homes, but when we opened up, we really emphasized and focused on our service to the community, right? And our family's been here since then. And I think you can explain that a little bit more too.
And as weird as this may sound, again, to reiterate, this is from the funeral home's perspective. So there are things that we're going to talk about that are behind the scenes a little bit later. I know this sounds a little weird to say, but dressing with the families is one of the things that I enjoyed most through my time here. It was one of the most intimate parts of the process. You really get to know the family. It's not a room full of 400 or 500 people. It's you and 5 or 6 family members really just getting down to it. Sometimes it'd be very emotional. Sometimes it'd be hilarious, right? Like the stories they would tell you. And this is a connection that you're never gonna get with people that you just met 2 days ago.
They don't forget who you are in that situation. And kind of like on that same point, like not only is our family here, we've grown so much over the years. Like you were probably 23 or 22, and I was 22, and I'm 30 now. So my 20s was spent here, and for like the closer people that know me and know you, they know how much like effort we put into this and how much care has gone into like growing and building it to what it is now. And
we started at like doing like 4-hour closing shifts, like 6 days a week. And we were like, we had other senior staff members here that helped us get into the business, very knowledgeable people. And I thank them for that. But at that point, we were cleaning washrooms and taking out 100%. Garbages, and we were not a part of the operation at all. We were pretty much support staff.
100%. Right? And our parents didn't go easy on us. Our dads, like, they made us work ground up, right? And maybe someone looks at us now and, hey, look, we're sitting in this office being recorded by a professional and this and that. And they probably think, hey, these guys have easy. No, like, we've literally done everything here. And that's not to boost ourselves. It's like, Jatinder and I have transferred, and when we mean transferred, picked up, deceased from the place of death. It could be a hospital, a nursing home, a house.
A house in the middle of the night.
And I want to say hundreds of thousands in those numbers, because we have, like, I was the primary like transfer person when this first started, like hospital after hospital. And like I didn't know, like I had a university arts degree and then coming into this field and kind of doing all this, and without rambling on, like I still remember my first day. Like I still remember it. And my dad goes, Puneet, like magic closing karni hai. Sorry guys, like for the English speakers, but he goes, I'm gonna close the funeral home tonight. And he's like, I'm not completely comfortable even closing it alone, right? And I go, okay, like.
You look at it now and we walk around like it's,
but
it's
I mean,
nothing,
like if he's not comfortable, how am I supposed to be comfortable, right? So long story short, a phone call comes on my first day. I answer the call. We want to speak to Inderjeet Singh Bal. A lot of the families asked to speak to him, especially when they first opened. Put the family on hold. This is so new, the business, that he was helping a family with the dressing. Like, you know, like we
were all hands-on.
We're all hands-on. Like and when we keep saying that, like someone came to put on their loved one's clothes for the final moment, and he's like helping put it on. So whatever, I knock on the door, and I open the door, and I'm like, Mama Ji, so someone's on the phone for you, right? He goes, okay, no problem. But Ajandar, like, come in. And I froze, guys. Like, there was a body on the table, obviously, and the family's dressing, and they're looking at me to be the expert. And I'm not lying to you guys, I froze. Like, I didn't know if I was gonna faint or what. Like, I just kind of went like, hey, I didn't know what to say. But that was day one. We were thrown in the mix, and I think we kind of never got a chance to look back. I don't think we were given that opportunity, and I'm so thankful for all of that. And where we are now, just to be the experts in this field. Like, and I can proudly say that. If it's a South Asian funeral, and like, you know, so people might think, hey, this guy, you know, he loves talking about himself. No, but if it's a South Asian funeral, we are the experts.
We are the experts. Yeah.
We are the experts. There's no questioning that. And in about 5 years, what you'll see is, doesn't matter religion, doesn't matter race, doesn't matter culture, doesn't matter financial situation, we will be the experts
in funeral
for all families, like, right?
But that doesn't happen without you getting thrown into that dressing on day one, right?
100%.
It definitely doesn't.
Yeah. And I think what I was supposed to talk about actually a lot earlier into this talk was Anthem, right? Like Antim. That's a video series, and we bounced ideas back and forth, and we wanted to keep this obviously professional, right? And kind of explain, what does Anthem mean? Like Anthem, a funeral home's perspective. So Anthem is a word we use here on a daily basis, right? It's said in our speeches for Hindu, Sikh families, it doesn't matter. It means final. So Anthem means final. So it's fitting for our video series. We obviously assist with the final rites, the final farewell, and that's why we chose this name, right?
I don't think that's a word I ever used in my like regular day-to-day talk before I was
in my
ever
vocabulary
here.
for sure. No, right?
And that's part of growing from the ground up, being comfortable speaking to families, serving families now. It's really been a growing process.
Yeah.
As we're saying, we're experts in the field now. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not learning something new here, and this is not a new situation that we're dealing with, and we'll speak into some of those situations later on.
For sure. And just to quickly touch on that, and this will be brought up in later series, but for us to be at the age to make like the decisions for a funeral, it's unheard of. It's unheard of, right? Yeah. We're very fortunate that our parents have trusted us, obviously, with these decisions, right?
We've also earned the trust.
We have, we have, right? Yeah. The pandemic, I think, proved to them that, you know, the extended stay that they got to be home and be safe, that things went as normal, and we took care of it. This is our own, like we treat it like our own. And now that we're at the point to look outside in, we want to do other stuff, right? Like charity is a big part for us. Like obviously, we can always do more, and I'm a firm believer on giving back, and you guys are too, right? As a company, we are, but there's a financial support that you give to the community, and I think my uncle says it best, is like, if anybody comes to our funeral home and they can't afford a funeral, they're not being turned away, right?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
In our 8 years of now being in business, or 7 years of being in business, no one's been asked to pay on when they make the
arrangements. You got lots of other things to do at that time. Yeah.
And going on that same topic, it's like we now want to get into other bigger community issues, and I don't like to call it issues because they're more just things that we need to talk about and that are being avoided. And these are, you know, mental health issues. These are issues that 20-year-olds might just need 30-year-olds to be like, hey guys, slow down when you drive that car, because you know how many times in a year we see young children pass away in a car accident, and that's going to be a whole segment later on, right? And again, like addictions and overdose, and
students coming from India that
depression,
they fall into depression, they fall into financial hardships.
Yeah,
they don't think they have support. If we can be through this video series, if we can reach just one person, I think we've done a good job.
Exactly. And it's just not me and you who are going to sit here, because like, look, we can only bring a funeral perspective. We want to bring in experts in their fields, right? So this will be mental health specialists that come in. This will be police officers that will come in. This will be lawyers that come in, and just anybody else. It's kind of like a request. Like if you're in the community and you can help with a particular topic, come in. Like, this space is available for you, right? Like, there's no obligation to it. Come on, and we want you
share your story.
Exactly. We want you to give your perspective, give your knowledge, and maybe it will help somebody. And I'm gonna let you jump into the second part of this, but like you kind of quickly touched that. Like, one thing this job has made me realize is like, life is short. Like it's very, very short, because I can come to work this morning, and there might be another 30-year-old who's passed, right? Like, who left their house that day
and didn't make it home.
They didn't make it home. Like, maybe they did nothing wrong. Like, maybe, like a car accident, like where they got hit, they had nothing to do with it. But then there's a whole other set of things, and like, without rambling on about the same thing, it's like there's certain choices we make that can, end our life quicker. And like, it's like, we know there's underlying problems to that. How can we as a community talk about these things, and how can we fix them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, life is short. Let's not make it shorter. That's my personal like reasoning for this. Like, I come to work every day, and on my drive, I just say I'm thankful for being alive. I'm thankful for my health.
It's tough driving in Brampton. Like on the, driving home sometimes is I feel like I avoid an accident every few days.
Exactly.
It feels and to be honest, working here has given me that perspective of like, you need to be careful when you're driving. You need to be careful for some people when they're enjoying an event and they're drinking and things like this, and things that we wouldn't have the insight to if we weren't here.
And we're not here to like act like the perfect people. Like, oh, this guy he meditates.
No, these are things that could happen to us. Yeah.
He drives and he meditates. No, it's like, we were also 20. We also made these mistakes. And I think back sometimes like, God bless. Like, I'm alive.
Nothing happened.
I'm alive, right? And just wrapping up on my point, like, there was this guy. His name is Naval, and I recommend everyone to check him out, because his perspective on life is cool, right? And he was featured even on Joe Rogan's podcast. And he says it, he goes, health is one of those things that an unhealthy person, like if you're sick, you have a disease, the only thing you want is health, right? Like it's the only thing you want. You don't want anything else. You don't want money. You don't want anything else. And that is a perspective in looking at life. Like, value our health, value, that part. And that summarizes the main reason for this video series, podcast, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to let you kind of explain the second reason.
In terms of health, that kind of leads into some of the people that we've been working with over the last, I think we're near 9 now, and the relationships that we've grown with certain groups or companies that have allowed us to start our outreach to the community. So when it comes to mental health, we've been working with a company called Soch Mental Health, and people that we approached initially to help our staff. They used to do segments with our staff to talk about what do we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Are you taking some of this stuff home with you? What are the challenges that you face? Because we help families, but who's helping us as a staff that works here, right? Yeah. Like, we don't and to be full transparency, I don't go to all of our staff members every day and be like, hey, how's your mental health? Yeah, exactly. But it's something that we need to talk about.
We're not immune to it.
Yeah,
we're not immune to it.
And just touching on some of the other companies we work with, Kangura Bajaj, excuse me. They're a legal firm, and they have done seminars with us about the importance of estate planning.
Yeah.
Again, things that people don't want to talk about
Yeah.
in our community, right?
don't,
A
yeah.
part of this video series is to open those doors for people. And you know what?
They don't until
You
a
start.
death happens, and then there's a whole set of problems.
Yeah.
Like, why not get your affairs in order,
In
right?
order,
And that's going to be another segment. And sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but keep going.
Yeah, and then not some of them aren't just about stigma. Some of our video series is going to be about what we've implemented here
Things
in
we're
our
proud
funeral
of.
home.
Things we're proud
Things
of.
that we're very proud of.
Yeah.
Things that have taken years in research and development to get to where we are now. We work very closely with an audiovisual company called Eminence Entertainment, and they've, I think now since late 2018, early 2019, have
Completely taken over our AV.
completely taken over our AV.
Yeah.
And as two people that are moderately tech savvy, we were not aware of the opportunities that we had here.
Yeah. Let's just say this. I was considered the IT person for this
I
funeral.
used to call you.
Yeah, and I'm not that tech savvy. So to have those guys on is like, it's a godsend. So yeah.
Other people, things that you wouldn't think about when we were working here part-time in 2012, cleaning the facility, is that how do we dress the people here, right? It's something that we went through, and most recently we started working with a company called Nobles & Co. They're a bespoke company. They make custom suits. It started off with us getting suits for our staff because we wanted everyone to look uniform, and it has now blown up into a project where they've created a specific product called My Last Suit that we help men's apparel. We help families get men's apparel in a very tough time, especially with the ongoing pandemic. There are other companies, not just companies, but we have our resources and our friends that we built over the years that are in PO Police. And
our friends, your dad's friends, my dad's friends. So
and we go back and forth with them about some of these, these driving issues or substance abuse issues, and it's getting to a point where I'm tired of having that same conversation in house. Other people need to know what's going on, and there has to be a way that we can maybe not totally prevent it, but start slowing down the rate at which it happens.
Yeah. And just to quickly touch on another one of our friends, on a charity standpoint, our friends at Bloomin', because as a funeral, we like to give back, but for a flower company, they give back a lot, right? They do a lot of different events. They ran a massive golf fundraiser last year that all the proceeds went to Soj. We have another event coming, a community event. Like, the thing with us, how we want to do stuff is like, make it a joint event. It shouldn't be, Brampton Crematorium did this or this person did this. So we have a joint event coming out, and we'll definitely have them on and share details on that as well. And this can be a way to showcase these businesses because they're working hard, right? And they do a good job at what they do. But also, how are we all collaborating on something bigger? Because, as our individual businesses to make money, that's obviously needed, but to give back to the community and to do
something bigger than that.
Yeah, joint efforts is huge.
And we can't do it alone.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking to our friends over at Bloomin', we've done charity events before we ever met them. And now looking back on those charity events, they weren't run to the best of their capability. We did our toy drives and things like that, and gaining these.
We all learn from each other, and we get busy with our day to day. So it's so helpful for having all these people on board, and they're an extension of our business, right? Like, all of them are partners, like I consider.
Sure.
And we have a cleaning company that we work with too, right? And they're going to be on too, and they do weekly defogging, or I'm not even sure what the terminology, but basically steam our whole funeral home. Because imagine during a pandemic, you have hundreds of people coming in. Less now. We're not talking about the thousands that used to come in, but there's still quite a few people coming in from doing the initial consultation for the funeral, from the dressing. So to keep this building clean is very important. And I apologize if I get the name wrong, but it's 360 sanitation, and they'll be on. They'll explain what they do, and you know what? If we can help each other out, why not, right?
I think you'll see throughout this series that some of the companies' topics are going to be very serious.
Yeah.
When it comes to mental health or with the police and talking about those subjects, going to be very serious. And some of them are going to be really laid back.
Yeah.
And that kind of speaks to what happens at the funeral home here.
Yeah.
Whereas when it is time to be serious, we're very professional. It needs to be done. I'll tell you straight up that behind closed door, our staff is very loose.
Yeah.
We have to be.
Yeah.
We joke around with each other.
I like
We
to think
keep it light.
I at least like to think I'm funny. At least when I make the joke to the staff, they laugh. So
I don't know if that's because we're funny or
I don't know, but yeah, exactly what you said, and I think you touched base on that at the start. It's like what we say is not to offend anyone. It's a different perspective. That's what we keep saying, the funeral home's perspective, because some of these issues, just because it's happened to somebody it is also happening on a monthly basis, right?
Yeah.
Weekly basis, monthly basis, and we're seeing the same reoccurring issues in our community. And it's our job. Like, I feel like, the job is to service the family, but it is also our job, if we say we're a community business and we're here for the community,
have to show it, yeah.
Community to step up and be like, hey, this is an issue. How do we solve this issue? And kind of help our community, right?
Yeah, shed the light.
Yeah, and I think on that standpoint, I'm very excited for this series. And like we said before, message us, email us, call us, and if we've said anything wrong, or if you want feedback, or if you know somebody who would like to join this podcast, like our Punjabi elders always say, at the end, "Jo koi galti hogi to maaf kar de," right? Right.
Yeah.
So that's what it is, and your support is needed in this venture.
Yeah, if you know of a certain series or topic that we are not going to be covering, we're more than welcome to ideas. I think taking on other people's ideas is how we've gotten into the position that we're in. So we want to keep growing our team.
Yeah, and we just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you.